What's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars. Today, we're talking about one of the two films that came out on Christmas Day. It's Wonder Woman 1984. Now, before I get started, I wanted to first say that I never really synced up with everybody else's view on the first film. I liked it, I could tell that it was well made, but I was never really falling head over heels for it like everybody else and their mom. I'm on the type of superhero boat where I like when they are lighter and bring a sense of magic, joy, and wonder, like in the days of Christopher Reeve as Superman. DC has always kind of struggled to get back to that. Marvel, on the other hand, I feel like is always there. We saw it with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, we saw it with Ant-Man, and in a way, pretty much everything that the MCU has to offer. DC sort of got there with the theatrical release of Justice League, though, like Wonder Woman 1984, everybody took a crap on. I'm starting to think people just hate it because it's lighter. Time to find out if this superhero sequel is efficacious or not, and let's get cracking. This review was brought to you by the word of the day, efficacious, having the power to produce a desired effect. Wonder Woman 1984 fast forwards decades into the future when Diana is hanging out in the 80s. While there, she comes into contact with a mysterious stone that grants the person holding it one wish. When a dastardly oil tycoon wishes to become the stone itself, the status of the world is forever changed, and it's up to Wonder Woman to remind everybody, as they say, to be careful what you wish for because it might come true. So, as I kind of already said, Wonder Woman 1984 is definitely lighter than its predecessor. That's one of the very first things that you'll notice. I mean, you'll turn on the sucker and say, oh, wow, it really is different, because it is. I won't even lie to you, the movie gave me serious Christopher Reeve vibes while watching. And based off of what I read online from others, I'm not alone in that. From there on out, I was instantly sucked into what was happening in the movie, and I couldn't turn my attention away. I was with my in-laws at their house, and I turned this movie on since we both have HBO Max. We probably turned it on a little bit too late because before I knew it, it was time to head home before the movie ended. I still had an hour left, and I didn't want to go. I didn't. I was that engaged with the movie, that enthralled with everything that was going on. Sure, the movie's corny, it's cliche, but that's kind of part of the point. It's part of the charm. That's why 1984 is part of the title. It was supposed to feel like those early 80s superhero films, and you know it, or at least you should. I'll tell you something else. When you review movies, sometimes watching the thing can be a bit of a chore. It can become monotonous day in and day out. You watch to review, you watch to review, you watch to review. And that's just life. It's been a while since I've watched a movie and got sucked into it so much and had so much fun with it. And that's what happened with Wonder Woman 1984. I prefer this over the first. Now, not by much, mind you. My overall score is only 3% different than the first movie. And I'll also say that it's probably my second favorite DCEU movie, period. But it's tied with my score for Batman v Superman, so I will say that. Also, not everybody has the best things to say about any of these characters, but I like them, all of them. Kristen Wiig's character is probably the most maybe unoriginal out of all of them, since she's playing the same weak, bumbling character that throughout the film transforms due to power, not unlike Edward Nygma in Batman Forever, Selena Kyle in Batman Returns, Max or Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, whatever. While watching the film, you have a hard time not noticing that because it's a trope. It's a superhero trope specifically. But again, it's supposed to be a nod to 80s superhero films, and I actually dug that they did it. And I really like Kristen Wiig's transformation of character. It wasn't just the next scene. It was a slow progression of events throughout the runtime of the movie, and I found this transformation to actually be pretty strong. Pedro Pascal, aka the Mandalorian, is also in the movie as a big bad, and he's essentially, a genie. Even more than you realize, because the guy hams up the scenes so much that he's essentially a cartoon character, and maybe he does go a little bit too hard on those scenes, but I enjoyed his character, I had fun with it, so at the end of the day, it's not really something that bothered me. Finally, there were some advancements to Wonder Woman herself that I felt like the first movie needed to do, so I was happy to see that here. No, not happy, ecstatic. What about negatives? Well, sometimes the tacky nature of the corny 80s stuff can be a bit too much. It didn't need to go as crazy as it did, but that isn't really a huge complaint. My core problems with the film are barely anything. For instance, I didn't particularly like the fact that Wonder Woman uses her lasso so god-awful much. It's like every other second of the movie. Lasso, lasso, lasso. I half expected her to make herself a glass of coffee and use her lasso to grab it off the table. Also, Steve, his entire function of the film, not that great or independently important. He's important to Diana, so that much I understand, but what he contributes to the film isn't much. He's a sidekick character that can barely do anything substantial, and he's there as an intrinsic issue that Diana still has to work on. People complain also about the pacing of the film. Personally, I have trouble concentrating and following movies that are over-convoluted. But this one, I don't know. I just couldn't look away from it and wholeheartedly disagree that it is convoluted or paced irregularly. It's a long movie, but you just don't feel the length of that. At least I didn't. Let's go ahead and break down my final score. From an unbiased technical vantage point, I think this movie was well made, just like the first one. The visuals aren't bad, neither are the characters, any of it. This score is 86%. My personal bias score? I don't know, guys. I loved it, okay? It was one of my best experiences watching a movie in 2020. And I'm sorry that that's not true for everybody. I really am. My bias score is 92%. And when we average out these two scores together, we come to the final rating of 89%. 89 out of 100 possible stars, or a B+ letter grade. It's not a perfect film, but out of the DCEU's entire collection of movies, I probably had the most fun with this one. Call me crazy, call me deranged, I don't care. Wonder Woman 1984 is a great, entertaining ride that's a ton of fun. But let me know your thoughts on the film in the comment section down below. Were you a fan of the first film? And if so, what are your thoughts on this one? Is it really as bad as some people swear it is? Or did you actually have a lot of fun with it? Let me know. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert, he is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us.